Welcome to Artificial Intelligence, Man versus Machine. On today's episode, what info was in the leaked memo from OpenAI? How will the world react to Japan's AI copyright ruling? One group is very worried about AI making humans extinct. Smaller and smarter AI model released, and it's completely open sourced. This and much more in today's episode. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Brenton House, and you're watching Man versus Machine, a podcast that we've set up to help businesses stay up to date with the world of AI and how it's transforming your world. So with me is my co-host, Korben Lawrence from Citadel Innovations. Thank you for joining me again today, Korben.
Not a problem. Excited to be here.
So I want to start with something a little bit different. Today, I wanted to dive into a product release that my company just talked about. The company I work for is Software AG, and they just made a really big announcement. And what they announced is that they're launching something that merges the worlds of AI, APIs, and integration. So for me, that hits everything. And it's really exciting. And the product is called webMethods AI.
Isn't webMethods your integration platform? I mean, I know we've been talking about this for a bit now, but, why don't you fill in everyone, in on the question a lot of people are probably asking right now, what's AI got to do with, webMethods?
So, yeah, if you're not already familiar with webMethods, webMethods is our integration platform, and it's a comprehensive tool that provides a full stack connectivity for cloud, mobile, and IoT. With webMethods AI, we're taking things up a notch. So they've rebuilt integration from the ground up with AI as an integral part of the core. So they've merged in the worlds of AI with integration, paving the way for smarter and more efficient business operations.
Yeah, no, so I guess integration meets AI. I mean, that sounds like a pretty big deal, but I mean, what does it kind of mean for us exactly?
So artificial intelligence brings to the table capabilities like machine learning, natural language processing, data analytics. By integrating some of these capabilities into the webMethods platform, it's going to allow businesses to automate and optimize their processes in ways that they haven't been able to do before. So, for example, have AI analyze your business data to identify bottlenecks or predicting future trends through integrations. But the usability of this product is just going to be insanely cool. So there'll be some demos and stuff coming out soon that you'll be able to watch, but it's just really cool, the possibilities here.
Yeah, wow. This sounds like it's going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, how would a company go about implementing all of this? It sounds kind of complex.
They're trying to make it as straightforward as possible. Basically, the idea is to bring AI capabilities to where your data lives. So instead of having to build out a lot of separate AI solutions sometimes, and then figuring out how to connect all the systems, you can use the power of AI when you're connecting your businesses with your partners, your customers' data, all the different integrations that you have. And as far as learning curve, we're building out and providing a lot of extensive resources and support to kind of help you every step of the way with this.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like it's going to be quite the game changer. I guess I can't really wait to see how this is going to be unfolding. But we'll be sure to post a link in the show notes below to provide some more information for people who are interested in looking into that. All right, let's dive into some other important international AI news that could have some substantial implications. It seems Japan has declared AI training data fair game and will not be enforcing copyright. This is kind of a big deal that they announced this.
I think the decision you're talking about really kind of throws a curveball into the world of intellectual property and AI development right now, because traditionally, copyright has been a significant factor in what data is being used to train AI models. So, they're effectively reducing some of the barriers and opening up horizons for AI development, but it comes with, obviously, a catch.
Yeah. So, I guess basically this means that all the data that had been previously locked behind, copyright restrictions is now, in theory, accessible for AI training in Japan. It kind of sounds like a potential gold mine for AI developers, but I know Japan and a lot of other people have been kind of raising concerns that copyright isn't quite the right word that should be used, using the argument that many artists, draw inspiration from copyrighted work. They don't duplicate it, but it inspires them, and it kind of they draw from that. So some people are saying that AI shouldn't be, any different. It should be able to draw inspiration from some of these copyrighted sources, and that kind of affects some of its art, whether it be, photos, music, video. It kind of seems like Japan has sided with that. And it really is going to be quite a big deal for some of the, the AI developers out there with that unrestricted data now.
It's going to be tricky. Each country is going to have its own rules, and even regions like EU and different things, they're going to have different rules as far as what data can be used, how you can use it, privacy concerns.
Most definitely.
So even though Japan may open this up, what's going to happen when a company in one country uses this data and another company, a copyright holder in that same country, then sues them for using something if they can prove that their data was used in this model too? I guess that's we'll have to see how open Japan is about what data, like where did they get all this copyrighted sources, and is your data included in that model? So it's really tricky. There's going to be legal implications, obviously, behind a lot of this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how all this plays out, and I imagine it's probably going to cause some debate and conflicts between countries and developers as well. I can really see how this move might make Japan an attractive destination for businesses in the AI space. If you're a startup developing an AI model, you suddenly have access to a treasure trove of data without having to worry about copyright issues. It's going to be a pretty big incentive to set up shop in Japan now. So it kind of makes you wonder if they did that on purpose. But we'll see.
Before you have companies competing against companies for AI, but you also have countries competing against countries. It could be a move to get Japan on the map for AI, which would be a real big benefit. But I mean, a lot of what they're doing, it's a very different trend than some of the other, like take Adobe. For a lot of their AI products, they're making sure that they don't have any copyright material in there.
Yeah. Which
changes what their products can do significantly. What their guarantee, I guess, kind of is for people that use it, that they don't have to worry about litigation about using copyrighted material. So this could be really good for Japan. I mean, it sure gets them some attention, and it could be, even with some of the legal issues that could be coming, it may put them on the AI map for a while.
Yeah, and I guess even talking about Adobe, I do feel like that decision that they made might definitely limit them when it comes to the capabilities. But also it could be an incentive, for businesses who don't want their information shared. And they want to make sure that it's kept safe. So it's got some pros and cons there. But I mean, I can definitely see how this change is definitely going to drive innovation and growth in AI. And it also it's most definitely going to spark new debates on data ethics, copyright law, even intellectual property rights. Now let's move from Japan to the Middle East, where Abu Dhabi has made its Falcon AI model open source. This is really big news. And what's really significant is the fact that they're also providing access to their model's weights and a more comprehensive open source offering. This is going to be something that I imagine is probably going to be really big in the AI space, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, a majority of the large language models a lot of them have granted exclusive licenses solely to non-commercial users, but they've started offering researchers and commercial users access to the Falcon 40B model. So it's going to be interesting to watch and see how long this initiative lasts, because a lot of organizations find that the costs and work of keeping something open source, as well as the competition starting to use your data, is difficult to maintain long term.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on all of this. It's probably going to be a significant footprint in the landscape of AI. Though, a lot of people have been saying, bigger the better when it comes to, large language models. But an interesting fact about, the Falcon AI is that it was only built with 40 billion parameters, which is about 25% of the size of something like GPT-3. And yet, even though how small it is, it's number one performing LLM on the Huggins Face list of large language models. So I thought that was pretty neat. We're seeing these smaller language models coming out and outperforming some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, this is an interesting trend. Smaller and smarter models. I think the idea is for the smaller models to be more efficient, to be able to handle things quicker, to be easier to train, and kind of maybe require less resources, which would provide access to a wider range of people using these models. So it's an interesting development, and I like where it's going, because as you get more and more data in these models naturally are going to grow and get bigger. So if we find ways to be able to make them smaller while still adding more data, that really shows promise.
Because we're kind of really seeing here that it's not about just the size of the model, but it's also how well it's trained, and its application. The introduction of open source giants like Falcon really means we're going to have more choices, and that's always a good thing for progress in the field. AI, after all, is not just a one size fits all tool.
And two, the fact that we have this open source products like this, open sourcing their models, means that more and more companies can create products based on these models. So instead of starting from scratch, you can stand on the shoulders of giants, if you will, and just be able to create some revolutionary new product based on a model without having to create your own model, which is very expensive and out of reach for most places.
Yeah. It's probably definitely going to be quite possibly a blueprint for other models moving forward and stuff. So shifting over to OpenAI, here's a bit of news that could be bigger than it appears. Sam Altman's meeting notes were leaked in the last few days. We found an archived web page where Sam Altman was talking about the future roadmap for OpenAI.
This was big. I think not that there was anything revolutionary in this leaked document, that they I guess they published it to the web and then just took it back down, but the archive pages were still there. But the fact that gave some insight into what they're thinking and where they're thinking of going. So if you want, I can just read off some of the highlights from it, if that works.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these are things we kind of already knew, but he admitted that the biggest obstacle was not software, but it's hardware. And this kind of goes in line with what you were talking about NVIDIA last time and the GPU shortages. The other thing was that their near-term plan was to include building GPT-4 faster, cheaper, and smarter, which is interesting because publicly what they're talking about is that they're not actually working on building GPT-5 yet. So I guess they're just working on making 4 better. So the other thing is they were talking about plugins aren't coming to the GPT API. So people were asking, all these this app library of plugins that you have for ChatGPT, when's that coming to the API? But I don't think it really found a place. And there's other solutions, kind of like with webMethods, where you can connect APIs, including the GPT API, to an assortment of different other things. So there's other solutions out there that can connect APIs together, and maybe they're not trying to go for that. The last one, I think, is that they said that they're going to try and not compete with partners. And I think that's important because partners were starting to get a little worried, like, okay, we're investing and we're doing things with you, but are you going to turn around and just compete with us on this? So I think that last one might be a little hard for them.
Honestly, it's going to be interesting to try to see how they, if they're trying not to step on the toes of their clients and partners, it might be a little hard for them. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I guess, if they're mainly, I think he said in the leaked meeting notes that they're mainly trying to stick to ChatGPT in their main focus.
I don't even know if they actually make any money off of ChatGPT because it costs so much to do all this. So there's a lot of options they have for revenue, but B2B is where a lot of the money and potential is. And
absolutely,
by them saying they're not going to compete and build anything on top of these APIs, I wonder how long they're going to stick with that stance. Eventually, I think they're going to build something else on top of these APIs.
We'll see how that goes and how long they try to stick with just ChatGPT.
Oh, also, remember that multimodality feature that they demoed a while back?
it was basically what being able to talk to ChatGPT with audio and video, not just being limited to text. It looks like also they announced that probably won't be a reality until they get more GPUs online. Kind of going back to the shortage of GPUs that they've been having, which is kind of a disappointment. But so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And I'm fine waiting, especially with some of the other announcements that's been released. But that'll be something that we'll definitely enjoy when it does come out.
I mean, the little bit you can get from like Midjourney, where you can give it an image and it can describe it. It would be nice when I can give an image, a video, or audio to GPT, and they have full multimodality. It can base its answer from prompts from other sources. But yeah, you're right. They need to do it right. So I'm curious to see how long we'll have to wait on this, but hopefully not too long.
Yeah, hopefully. But I guess going from unofficial documents to official releases, for the first time ever, OpenAI has finally given official guidance on the best practices for prompting using ChatGPT. This is significant and very helpful at the same time. In the fact that it helps consumers using ChatGPT and businesses using the GPT models for their APIs. And for time's sake, I'm just going to quickly power through, just going to read the top 6 strategies that they listed on their website.
That sounds good.
Yeah, with number 1, write clear instructions. Just using detailed prompts to help the GPT get a better understanding of what you're trying to push across.
And this is probably one that, I mean, if you see best practices out there already from other people, there's probably one that you'll see the most, of people telling you how to write better prompts and different things. But yeah, being as verbose with your details as possible. So
yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, that one's really good. And I guess number 2 is also one that definitely helps a lot. Provide reference text. I guess just cutting down with hallucinations. It helps just include links or even copying and pasting, text that's relevant to what you're asking of the model.
Yeah, and again, that one's good. It really opened things up once they allowed internet access, because copy and pasting everything is tough, but be able to give it your external reference text to a URL really helped things. But
absolutely, yeah,
I know it does help somewhat. So instead of telling it, hey, if I'm talking about Microsoft, now granted it probably knows a lot about Microsoft, but if I was giving it another company I didn't know a lot about, and I give it URL to make sure it understood it, then that's a good point. Yeah,
for sure. And I guess number 3, split complex tasks into simpler, smaller tasks. This one's pretty straightforward. Just break up some of the prompts that you're feeding it, just to avoid confusion.
Yeah, I've actually started using this a lot. So instead of doing one really big prompt, now sometimes I'll put it in the same prompt, but I'll actually give it rules to obey and number these rules. Sometimes if I need to split up or add rules to it, I can give it add a rule 7 or add rule 8. But I tell it, you have to do this, you can't do this, whatever that. But then in its response, if it doesn't do it accurately, I can say, well, you broke rule number 5, you broke rule number 6. Makes it easier on my part to be able to correct it and give it a better response. But also, it seems to be more accurate the first time around, and for me not having to go correct it. So yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea right there. And I guess it kind of leads into, with, giving it time to think, something that, when you're giving it rules and stuff to follow, by giving the language model time to think, you kind of do this by asking it to give you its chain of reasoning before computing an answer. So that way it kind of gives it the ability to reason more reliably, going back and forth between it. Sometimes, if it missed some of those rules, it'll go back and realize this when it's giving you its chain of reasoning.
So that's definitely, giving it time to think and, cross-referencing some of the information you fed it can definitely help. But I guess sitting at number 5, using external tools. This is just kind of talking about using tools that are specific to what you're using the language model for. So whether it be, coding, writing, or something else. But
Okay.
that can definitely be helpful as well. But number 6 is test changes periodically and systematically. Getting into the habit of trying, different things with the language model to kind of see what works best for you. Whether this be, it encourages, instead of just, always giving it a new prompt when you don't get the answer you want, sometimes trying to edit the previous prompt can have better results. So just trying little things like this to kind of test what works best for you and your business.
All right. I wanted to dive into a topic that causing quite a buzz in the tech community. And Korben, I know you've seen this. I know some of our viewers have probably also come across it, but it's a statement that was released from the Safe Artificial Intelligence Organization. So they're warning about the risk posed by advanced AI technologies, which they believe could lead to some kind of existential crisis, even likening it to a global pandemic. I mean, I can just read the entire statement here. Quote, mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war, end quote.
That's an interesting 22-word perspective right there, to say the least. I guess the main thrust of their argument kind of centers around the idea that we need to be very, very cautious when developing, new AI technologies. Something that the people in the AI community, actually, we've been seeing some people signing this for heavy government regulations and restrictions to kind of curb these potential risks. But I guess, aren't these potential AI risks, still theoretical in this stage?
I think a lot of these AI doomsday scenarios are purely speculative right now. I mean, we're still at a stage where we're understanding it. Now, granted, AI has been around a long time. I'm not denying that, but I'm also not denying that everything has changed in this last year. Right now, its full potential is still evolving. And I'm not saying we shouldn't take these concerns seriously, but it's essential to have a balanced view. And there are many other experts in the field who are advocating for a more measured approach, one that doesn't necessarily involve heavy government intervention. But I admit an open conversation about this is a good idea, though.
I mean, I guess in kind of what we've seen so far, even if the people involved with, this group struggle to articulate the clear and present dangers that they are predicting with this statement, we still need to kind of ensure the technology that we're developing is, still safe and beneficial to society. But at the same time, we don't want to stop innovation and progress because of fear. That's just my take. All right, kind of shifting gears a little bit to the impact that AI is having on smaller businesses. This is something that I've been kind of wanting to talk about with the rise of one-person businesses and how they could be the new employers of the future. It's kind of a concept that to some may seem counterintuitive, but basically the idea is that these one-person businesses, or solopreneurs, as they're often referenced to, could really leverage technology and artificial intelligence to run complex operations all by themselves. And that's kind of exactly where AI fits into all of this. Remember, the essence of AI is kind of about doing more with less. It's about automating the processes and making sense of large amounts of data, freeing up time then to focus on the more essential tasks. So essentially, AI could serve as the virtual team for these solopreneurs. One man with AI now is, can almost do as much as 2, 3, or 4, or even more people previously in a business. Previously when you're starting a business, you want to have marketing, you need to have an accounting team, customer support, someone actually coming out with the product or service. But now, with all these AI tools, imagine just having an AI virtual assistant, managing your customer interactions, an AI tool for accounting, like we already have these tools like Sage for accounting, or another for your marketing. Like now we have Midjourney and Canva Magic and other tools, even ChatGPT for blogs and so on. You really could just be a one-person show with all of these new AI technology at your fingertips.
I think everyone's going to be using AI soon. But
yeah.
I think there's going to be kind of a split. There's going to be people that don't know they're using AI, and there's going to be people that do know they're using AI. So there's going to be people in the first group that are using tools like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, other Office type apps, or all the other many types of apps that are going to be out there that actually use AI, but they kind of hide it from you. And then there's going to be the group of people that proactively use AI tools or tools that intended to be able to enhance your performance using AI. And I think small businesses in that second group are going to be more successful in using some of the tools that you mentioned, ChatGPT and some of the specific ones for different industries. So you can leverage the power of AI with very little training or effort. So speaking of ChatGPT, there has been an update for all you Apple fans out there, and I say that, and that includes me, because earlier OpenAI released the ChatGPT as an iOS app. But this latest update allows ChatGPT to work better on iPads, and guess what? It now works with Siri and iOS shortcuts. So you can now take advantage of using ChatGPT and Siri. So if you're going to try this out, you need to make sure you install the iOS shortcut first. And then you can be all set to start using ChatGPT with the voice commands.
Yeah, this is something that I am very excited about. It's kind of like having your own knowledgeable, assistant or conversationalist that you can just kind of chat with at any time. Except this assistant has access to, a vast knowledge base. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't go away. You always have it with you. So I think this is a huge step towards, accessibility, using ChatGPT.
And I know this really fills in a huge gap that I know I talked to you about earlier, but
yeah,
you can use it, say, even while you're driving. Of course, I'm talking about driving safely, both hands on the wheel, eyes on the road kind of thing. But think about how handy it is to be able to have a conversation with ChatGPT if you need to gather some quick information, draft an email or message or other types of tasks, and without having to type it out. And Siri will even read back the responses to you. So that, to be honest, this is what Siri should have been years ago. And it's sad that companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google have had the best minds, the AI minds in the world, and they've really done nothing to improve the horrible experience that Siri and Alexa provide. So I'm really excited about that.
I feel exactly the same way, because they've had these teams even researching AI, and they've had the ability to produce something like this in the past. And it's almost like they just sat around waiting for someone else to do it before them, and they're like, oh, okay, oh well, I guess we'll do it now. This has been something I've been waiting for a really long time, and I am very excited that it's finally here. I'm just kind of slightly disappointed that it took this long. But now that it's here, I can't wait to see maybe even Apple, not even just using shortcuts using ChatGPT, but maybe even turning Siri at some point into its own, large language model. But that's maybe not something we might not see for a while, but just an idea. But it's essentially kind of like having your own hands-free, voice-activated intelligence. Even a personal assistant. It's kind of a major leap towards making our interactions with AI feel even more natural and conversational. Now that you're not just typing on a computer with a black screen with text coming up. It's actual conversation you're having in front of you.
Yeah, going back to what you're talking about too, like these small businesses. Now, I mean, it makes it more natural to be able to bounce stuff off, have a conversation. I know you could always text and use apps like ChatGPT and other things, but I think we're going to see a trend too of being able to actually talk things out. And be able to have a conversation, and I think this is a huge step in usability.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I completely agree with that.
So before we go, I wanted to add a rapid fire portion to the show. So as you know, there is a ton of AI news that's published, and you and I can only go into details on a select few of these topics, but
Yeah.
I really think it'd be beneficial if we can at least read through some of these other headlines that we've seen this week.
Yeah, most definitely. With the rate that all of these stories have been developing, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these, end up being full featured stories in future episodes as well. So, just something just keep an eye out for. But
we'll put links to all these in the show notes below. So let's start right out with a big one. Salesforce announced that they are going to be doubling their investment and spending $500 million on generative AI to increase their portfolio with the new artificial intelligence tool, and they're calling it AI Cloud. So also in the news is OpenAI, DeepMind, and Anthropic. They're going to give UK early access to their foundational models to support quote unquote safety research. So it'll be interesting to watch.
yeah,
In the entertainment side, Paul McCartney says that AI tools helped rescue John Lennon's vocals for upcoming Last Beatles record. So stay tuned for that. A new release from the Beatles, I guess. So also a survey was released that shows that developers are ready to use the AI tools, even if they don't fully trust them. Another one is that cyber criminals are now using AI voice cloning for a new breed of scams. So cybersecurity is definitely affected by all this AI. Another one is Meta has open sourced their AI powered music generator. Khan Academy has an AI tutor bot that aims to reshape learning. Adobe has a new batch of beta tools that leverage AI, and we'll definitely talk about more about this in a future episode. So, and also scientists claim that they can identify ChatGPT content with a 99% success rate. I don't know. I'm kind of doubt this, but I'm curious to see more about this in the future.
yeah. And a few more articles that have been popping up in the news lately is Microsoft is going to be charging some Office 365 customers 40% extra to be able to test some AI features. AI is also being used to generate some pretty cool QR codes. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. Another one, WordPress has a new AI tool that will be able to write blog posts for you, which is also very neat, instead of just having to go to ChatGPT for that one. But Meta is also releasing its first generative AI feature that will be AI stickers in Messenger. Kind of anticlimactic. And also, after some bad publicity, CNET is overhauling its AI policy and updating some of their past stories. Also, scientists are now using AI supposedly to talk to animals, which could be really interesting to see if that's actually working. And
see if they talk back.
Yeah. And Character.ai is also working on making AI chat more fun. Microsoft is also adding AI Copilot to Windows, which will be interesting to keep an eye on. That one could be good.
Yeah, seeing Microsoft integrate AI into Windows, I don't use really Windows much anymore, but that could be really big.
Yeah. Especially since, I'm trying to keep a foot in both, Mac OS and Windows. It'll be kind of cool to compare how it's working with some of Siri's ChatGPT options. But yeah. And also, Zoom can now give you AI-generated summaries of meetings you missed, which could be useful for everyone who's still working remote or online, or even if just part of a regular day Zoom meeting.
I encourage people to skip a meeting. Then you're like, oh yeah, I'll just get the summary for that. Never mind.
Yeah, possibly we'll have to see on that one, but still could be useful. And I guess last but not least, Apple avoids the AI hype at their WWDC keynote by trying to bake machine learning into products. I really think Apple is another sleeping giant that will probably will come up a lot more later. as we've kind of mentioned.
Yeah, we'll probably need to cover some more of the WWDC release in a coming episode. Like I said, they didn't have a lot of AI stuff to talk about, but there was some AI stuff that subtly was introduced into some of their products. So
yeah, machine learning was a word used a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it for today's episode of Man versus Machine. Thank you everyone for watching or listening, and feel free to leave comments about this episode or any topic that you want either of us to cover in a future episode. And thank you, Korben, for joining me today.
Yeah, not a problem. I had a great time and look forward to the next one.
Likewise.